Congratulations to your first dog. You're probably wondering what you should train first and what would give you the most advantage in your day-to-day life and to build a trusting relationship. And that's what this video is about. So we will go from least to most important, so be sure to stick with it. Alright, but you can train along, right? Just pause the video and train along. So let's start with whenever you don't have a backyard or you, for some reason, need your dog to go outside on a leash right away. Then you need to train your dog to wear a harness comfortably and to put it on voluntarily, right? This is the most important thing before you can go out. And to do that, my number one tip is to squat down. Don't lean over your dog, but squat down, or if you have a very large dog, stand a little bit to the side so you are not intimidating for your dog. And then you can just start with connecting the harness with something positive, so just throw treats around it and then reward engagement with the harness, and then just reward your dog getting closer and closer and closer with the head to the next strap and eventually put the head through. Now, this is a little secret and it is an absolute game changer. I would always recommend getting a harness with a clip on the neck so your dog doesn't have to put the whole head through. Your dog just has to hold still for a very short time until you can put the harness over the neck, and that is so much easier for so many dogs. So if you have a new dog and you're not quite sure, try this first. And if you really have to go out immediately, leave one harness on. Leave one harness on, of course supervised, right? So your dog cannot get tangled up somewhere, but leave it on so you don't have to force your dog into it every single time. And your dog can actually learn how to participate voluntarily. And yes, that requires two harnesses, but it gives you a huge advantage because you can avoid your dog running away from the harness like so many do, right? And the same thing goes for the leash. So it is a lot easier for most dogs if you clip on the leash from the side and not leaning over your dog. You can see if your dog's comfortable with you clipping on the leash if you watch the body language. So if your dog is not turning the head away or licking the lips or lifting a paw or pulling the ears back or something like that, you're on the safe side. And maybe you want to be able to guide your dog from one spot to another or from one place to another, and what you can use for that is a hand target. A hand target is super easy to train. You just present your dog your hand and your dog will probably look at it, touch it with his nose, or engage in any kind of way. And that's what you can actually capture and what you can reward. And this way your dog will do more of it. So your dog will be happy to engage with your hand. Now, what that does is, not only can you direct your dog to somewhere or from somewhere, like if you want your dog to get off the sofa, you can just ask your dog to touch the nose to your hand and that way get off the sofa, right? There is no conflict there. And you can also produce positive associations with your hand. So your dog will never be afraid of your hand if you practice a hand target very early on. And the best thing, you can use it for further training, like loose leash walking or heel or a recall or so many different things. So this is actually a multifunctional tool. It's really great and I train it very early on. The same goes for the next thing. Maybe you want your dog to engage with you, indoors or outdoors, especially outdoors. It will be necessary on walks for your dog to check in with you once in a while, right? That's how you know your dog is still with you, or your dog isn't completely in his own world, and you can ask your dog to do stuff if you need it. So what we need is an attention cue. An attention cue can be the name of your dog if you don't use it very frequently in day-to-day life. That's very often a pitfall, right? So you can use a pet name, or you can use a specific attention cue that tells your dog, look at me, and you can use look for that, or eyes, or whatever. And what that does is, It tells your dog to look at you immediately, to leave alone everything else. And that is why it's so powerful. You can use it to interrupt any other behavior you don't want your dog to do. So this is really, really great, right? You don't need to say no. You don't need to say leave it. You don't need to yell at your dog or anything. You can just ask your dog to look at you. And you can train it with either teaching your dog exactly what you want from the beginning, and or you can do both. You can capture your dog being awesome, right? You can capture your dog looking at you voluntarily. I like to do both because I want my dog to keep thinking. I want my dog to have good ideas, right? And I want to tell my dog when something is awesome instead of just reminding him to do what I want all the time, right? And what you need for all of this to work really well, and you can try it out, there's nothing wrong with it, but you will see the difference. If you want to have the best success, the fastest results, and the most fun with your dog, because your dog will not get frustrated, your dog will absolutely understand what you want, you need a marker signal. A marker signal tells your dog, this was right, you will get a reward. It's as easy as that. And you can use either a sound or a clicker or both. Again, don't worry about it. Don't worry about what is best or what works how or whatever. It's almost the same thing. And as a beginner, there is really no difference. So try both and decide what suits you best, what feels more comfortable for you, what comes easiest to you, and all of that. So this is very easy to train as well. You can just connect the sound with something positive, so a treat. And yes, for all of these things to work, you have to start in an environment your dog feels safe. So you can actually give your dog a treat and your dog takes it without any hesitations, without any concerns or any fears. And if you don't have that yet, go to the description, book a free call, we see how I can help, because this is something that might need something a little bit more individual. And if you want to have a complete course, you will find that in the description as well, with all of these cues in it. But before you can start training, even if your dog is taking treats in a very relaxed way, you need something that is a little bit more into depth, that is way more important than any training, and it will make training possible, and it will help you connect with your dog to begin with. And what that is and how you can achieve it, you will see in this video.